In the next 20 minutes, we will hear a keynote from Sophie Walker about unlocking your superpower, technology as a tool for social good. Sophie is a game designer focusing on educational game design. She's working as a researcher at the Zurich University of the Arts and founded her gamification and serious game startup Myra Lux Creations in order to pursue her passion, using playful designs to educate and support society. In her keynote, she will elaborate on her story from Padawan to founder and give useful tips on the do's and don'ts of tech development. And as Sophie likes to say, games are fun, knowledge is power. Let's combine the two. So Sophie, ready player one.
I am super excited to be here with you on this beautiful first day of your journey of unlocking your superpowers, because we're all here to use technology as a tool for social good, and that in itself is pretty awesome because I see 59 people in this call, so let's get this thing started. As you've heard, last autumn I founded my serious game and gamification startup Myra Lux Creations. We do everything from gamifications to playful educational interactions to full-on serious games. And if you're asking, what the hell are serious games? Well, they're fantastic. They're just like your regular beautiful game, but special effect, you also learn something while you play. A couple of examples from the industry. Here you see Duolingo ABC that helps children learning how to read and write. We have Silverfit, they create exercising games for the elderly. And at the bottom you see Dragonbox, which makes learning algebra easier and more engaging. So serious games are very cool, and they're coming, spoiler alert. What we are currently working on Myra Lux Creations is Project CH+, Games for Democracy. We are using game mechanics in the experiment of making voting and learning about political candidates more engaging, especially for young people. We have two applications. We have the CH Plus app. This is a voting support tool that kind of works like Tinder. So you swipe through the candidates and you can decide who you think matches with you and who doesn't. And then a little crazier alternative, we have dope elections where the candidates are in a race royale for your favor. They want to earn your voice, your votes, and of course, you can decide who gets to win this race royale. Now, since we're not only interested in games, but also science, we are comparing the two applications. We have the CH Plus app focused on usability, and then we have Dope Elections focused on entertainment design. All of this started 2019 as a master's project at the Zurich University of the Arts, my master's project. So first, everything happened on paper. First test was in the Canton Uri. We scaled up a little bit in Basel-Stadt. Then in Neuchâtel, we tried dope elections for the first time. And right now, we're on the road in Fribourg, where we are comparing the two applications. Right, but why are we doing this? Why do we think creating these voting help tools is a good idea? Well, because just like you guys, we think that we can use technology for social good. And we want young people to go out there and vote because democracy is awesome and you should take your rights and use them. We believe that digital tools nowadays can support this cause. Okay, while we're at this topic, let's have a look at what is currently happening in the world. Technology is awesome. We are in this very unique situation that we are, for the very first time, connected to each other in a way that we've never been connected before. We can talk to a person from China in 2 seconds, a person from the Philippines in 2 seconds, and we're still in our room. We get to meet people completely differently. We get to learn from their worldviews. We can talk to people that grew up completely differently than we did, and we can learn from each other. Now is the time where we can learn. And while this connection brings a lot of good, it also brings a lot of challenges. We have the climate crisis. We have big tech companies that are doing ethically questionable things. And of course, globalization also exposes that there's a lot of inequality on the world. And while some of these problems might even be caused by the advance of technology, I'm convinced that we can use technology to lessen these issues or to find solutions. It's like when we discovered fire. Hey, you can use fire to cook, you can use fire to burn things down. So when it comes to technology, let's use this fire to cook together. Before we start cooking for social good, though, let's have a look at technology as a tool. And I'm not talking about the mixer, I'm talking about how we can create applications as tools for social goods. And the good news is, it always starts with an idea. And for ideas, you need nothing except your brain and maybe some cool people around you and an environment that's inspiring. Once you have an idea, it's good practice to put everything out on paper. And I'm running through this process with the example of the CH Plus app here. So these are the first sketches that we made. Get your ideas out on paper. It can be ugly. Dare to make it ugly. It's not important what it looks like. It's important that you get the idea across. Once you run that by a couple of people, you better get started with the implementation phase, and that ASAP. And first of all, also very important tip here, do that on paper. Paper prototyping is really important. It lets you test ideas without spending hours and hours developing code for a feature that nobody actually wants, or developing assets for an interface that you're gonna switch around in the end anyways. So once you've tested your ideas together with people, start implementing them on paper. Then we have this beautiful thing called an MVP. As kind of the opposite of the paper prototype, in the MVP, minimum viable product, we want to make sure that we try if our technical scope, if that is feasible. Can we make the data show up here and there? Do our algorithms work? All these kind of things. Is it technically feasible? That would be a next very important step. And then after a lot of implementing and testing and trying, at some point you will have a prototype where you think, I think this kind of does what I want it to do. And at this point, it's really important to check. Does it do what I want it to do? Does it have weird side effects? Does it have amazing side effects? But that's really important to check in. And that's, for example, what we're currently doing in comparing our both applications, just to make sure we're aligned with what we want to do. So to sum up, it all starts with an idea. We have implementation, prototyping phases, and in the end, it's important to evaluate the effect of your application. In this beautiful process, we do that over and over again, and we name it iterative design. It's really cool. It helps you create something that fits the need of your target audience or whoever will use your application. Now, when it comes to development, I do believe that most of the interesting stuff happens in the implementation phase. And I like to say that's where the magic happens. And with magic, I mean the drafts, the visuals, the code, the failures, the plan Bs, and the teamwork. In this program, you will be dealing with more of the IT side of things. You will be doing coding, UX, visual work. But in the end, just remember that it's all part of an entire process. And if we think about that, creating an application is pretty magic because a lot of things need to come together. A lot of people need to work together in order to create something that is awesome and that works. Okay, so much on using technology as a tool. And now it's almost time for your 6 weeks work. But before you get started with all of this, I would like to give you some advice onto your path for the next couple of weeks. You pick up a thing or two as you go along in IT projects, and I think it's good to hear them before you dive into this sector. So we're gonna have a look at teamwork, health and safety, communication, and flexibility during the development process. Teamwork. The most important thing in a development project, or in any project really, is that you work together with the people that you're in the project with. And here, the most important thing is that you trust the people that you're in the project with. You need to know what they're good at. You need to respect what they're good at and let them do their thing. But it's also very good to know what they're not good at. In that way, you can play to their strengths and balance out their weaknesses. And it's really important that you trust your abilities into all directions. People, from what I understand, who did not grow up in the IT sector. So when you start working in a tech project, your perspective will be very different from what the people there have, just because you grew up with other working norms, other workflows, other thought structures. And that in itself is an enrichment for tech projects and the tech industry in general. So own that, and it is a unique selling point, and yeah, push it. Related to that, there are obviously established norms in the IT industry. You will have to adapt some of your working styles, but also bring in your own perspectives. And while there are norms, there are also things that can be improved. So again, own your stuff. Listen to people, but own your stuff. Next point, super important, is health and safety. Because as it is with life in general, but also in tech projects, your biggest asset is you. Take care of yourself, make sure that you're doing okay, because if you're not doing well, you're not gonna produce good work. And the tech industry can be very stressful, so just watch out for that. How do we avoid horrible planning mistakes? With code, the beautiful thing is that it can be going really well one day, and then you find a major bug the next day, and then what? So make sure that you put in time buffers at every corner to balance out any unexpected errors or problems, bugs that come up. And we like to say, when a programmer tells you that a development of a feature takes 1 day, you should plan in between 3 and 5 days. So just keep that in mind here. Then last but not least, this is a serious topic. Beware of crunch. Crunch is a bad thing. It's in the IT industry, especially in the games industry, that shortly before deadlines, people start working crazy hours. They start working late. They don't take breaks just because they want to push for 150%. And nobody should be pushing for 150. If you really want to go there, maybe try 120. But crunch is something that is in the industry. And when it comes your way, when you are stressed because there is a lot of work and there's a deadline, just remember point number 1 on this slide: take care of yourself, because if you haven't slept enough, you cannot bring your A game. Right. Next point, also very important, is communication. In your team, be honest with each other. If there's something that's going really well, share it so people can be like, yay, we did something great together. But also tell people if you have a problem. If you work together on a trust basis, you can only win when you share that you have a problem, because people will they will start helping you, since you're all working towards the same goal. When it comes to client communication, make sure to keep them in the loop. Not too technical, but just progress-wise where you're at with your milestones, for example. Also keep them in the loop if you are encountering difficulties or even possible difficulties, so that they're not out of touch when something major happens. That can be good or bad. And here, last point, most important one for internal and client communication, is to always, always, always visualize your ideas. Because just if someone says, I want to have this beautiful button, it's going to be the start button, in your heads, there are like 50 different start buttons right now, just from the people in this call. So make sure that you draw out your features, make sure you draw out your interfaces in a place where everybody can see them. There are a lot of digital tools for that. We use Miro, for example. It's like a digital canvas or a sticky note board. Stuff like that is really important. Right. Last point is flexibility. App creation is a creative process, and make sure to allow for the time for your creative ideas to pop up. Because sometimes you just have a super awesome idea at 5 in the morning, and then if I implement this feature, it will take me an extra week, but it's going to make the application 5 times better. So allow for some time there. You cannot 100% plan creativity. With that regard, make sure that your planning is adaptive, is flexible. That goes for the creative ideas, but also the bugs that we talked about earlier, because you need to be able to balance these things. And now with all the flexibility talk and the planning and the being careful and taking care of yourself, do also enjoy the experience, because you are in for a ride with a lot of new people, a lot of, I'm sure, very cool people. And yeah, enjoy it. You're going to learn awesome stuff. Okay, so to sum up, how to do this? Let us do this. Work together, take care of yourself and your teammates, talk about problems and successes, and keep flexible. Enjoy everything that you're doing. And with all of this said, I am sure you are well on your path to unlock your superpowers, and I wish you a fantastic program.